Hello, so the next part of our cognitive behavioural therapy care package is talking about reframing thoughts. A lot of the CBT activities, worksheets and therapy is about reframing our thoughts. It's such a key part in who we are, the way we think. Depending on what we're going through, our thoughts are so strong and they really do change then how we feel and how we act. So it's really important that we make sure our thoughts are, I don't want to say good, because we can have bad thoughts, that's okay, but we've got to make sure that we can process them, good or bad. Now it's quite a simple concept, reframing thoughts. When you're feeling down, there is often a negative thought or several at the root of your feelings. So when we looked at the cycle of thoughts, feelings and actions, there's always thoughts in there. So try to identify it and then rewrite it from a more balanced, positive perspective. So what that's explaining there is that when we're feeling down, that is linked to a negative thought. So the negative thought leads to negative feeling, leads to negative action. So that's a huge cycle of negative vibes, which we don't want, okay? It's not productive, it's not going to help us. So what we want to do is identify what that negative thought was and really sort of pick into it, really work out where that thought has come from. Is it necessary? Is it accurate? Is it factual? And then try and balance it out to a more positive perspective. Now, this isn't dipping a poo in glitter, okay? If something's happened that's bad, we're going to be thinking bad things and we're going to feel bad about it, okay? Grief is one of those things. We lose somebody that we love, of course we're going to think and feel bad, and that's okay. What this is focusing on is when we start thinking, feeling and acting negatively, and it's unnecessary. We didn't need to have dealt with it in that way. And how we reframe our thoughts is by taking the time to understand them, understand where they have come from and whether it's linked to anything else. So when we talk about rewriting that negative thought, and getting a more balanced, positive perspective, what we're talking about is a counter thought. So that's how it's described in CBT, a counter thought. So it's sort of a flip side of that thought, of that initial thought, and that can be the hardest part, as it says in this sheet here. Try to step back and imagine yourself encouraging someone you care about if they were in your situation. We are the best people at giving advice all the time, and we are the worst people for taking our own advice. Who knows why that is, but it's one of those things. So a great thing to do is, like it says, step back, look at it as if it wasn't happening to you, as if it was happening to someone you care about. What would you recommend they do? What advice would you give if they were in your situation? If all else fails and you're really struggling to find any balance or positivity, try to laugh at yourself and make your negative thoughts sound a bit less dramatic at least. Now, those who know me know that I am a bit of a goof and I love to laugh. So when I am being a bit over the top and getting myself in a bit of a negative cycle, I like to say it out loud. So if I'm overreacting at something and I'm feeling really stressed out, I start to say it out loud, and it ends up making me laugh. Number one, because I'm talking to myself out loud and having a bit of a conversation. But secondly, when I say it out loud and get it out of my head, I realise that I'm making it worse than what it actually is, and then I start to think, why am I stressed about this? Why am I so angry about this? So I gave an example earlier about getting my pocket caught on the door handle when I'm in a rush. This happens a lot, and I get really, really angry, and I will probably slam the door and maybe kick it on my way out. And then when I start to reflect on how I've reacted and how that door handle going in my pocket made me so angry, it makes me laugh, because I think it was a bit of a pointless waste of energy, really, to be getting that upset over my pocket stuck on the door handle. And that is quite funny, actually, because it's just, there's no need, is there, to have reacted in that way at all. It's my fault, and I keep doing it. I'll just never learn. I'll never learn to just slow down and maybe, you know, stay away from the door handles. It's quite silly, really. Anyway, most of us will find it's the same collection of negative thoughts that tend to make an appearance. So it might be helpful to write your old thoughts versus your new thoughts down as a reminder to use at a later stage. So let's put it into an example. We've fallen out. People fall out all the time, especially at school, because everybody seems to know everything, and everyone's in everybody's business all the time. Or, you know, if you're part of a big family, it can be quite difficult sometimes because you don't all get along and you feel trapped and on your own and things like that. Now, when you fall out with somebody, we straight away start feeling really negative. Oh, I hate that person. Nobody gets on with me. I'm never going to have any friends, and all of these negative thoughts. If we write that down, that's constantly how you're feeling when anything happens, then we've got to look at that for what it is. Am I a bad friend? No. Am I maybe just mixing with the wrong people who don't get me? Do I need to communicate more about how I feel? Do I need to express myself better? Do I need to explain where I'm coming from in a better way so that other people can understand me? It's about finding a solution. If we're stuck in this negative thoughts, feelings and actions cycle, we've got to look at that, and we've got to work out how we can make it better, not for anybody else, but for who we are. It's a long day if we're constantly in this cycle, a really, really long day, and then you've got to do it all again the next day. So let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at these thoughts and let's reframe them. Let's just tweak it slightly so that we're getting the best out of who we are. This one does get easier with practice, and it is going to take some practice. So don't fret if you find it tricky or unnatural at first. We've got to remember that the way we think, feel and act has become a habit. It's become a natural response. It's become, you know, subconscious. We're reacting that way straight away. We feel that way straight away. We think those thoughts straight away before even stepping back, looking at it. You know, if you're finding yourself arguing with people all the time, or you'll find yourself getting in trouble all the time, it's not right. We've got to look at this. Are we blaming everybody else all the time? Are we blaming ourselves all the time? It's not how we're supposed to be doing things. It's not how we're supposed to be living. And it's certainly not going to help any of us in our future and to get the best out of who we are. Just try it, okay? Just try the reframing of thoughts and try and have a look at what could be different if we reframed those thoughts.